Let me ask you something. What if that story you're always telling yourself about who you are is, well, wrong? We're often told our identity is this fixed, solid thing. But we're about to tear that idea apart. We're going to explore the idea that your identity isn't something you're stuck with. It's actually something you can choose. You know the script, right? We've all got one. It often starts with this classic line, "This is just who I am." Sounds pretty harmless, doesn't it? Just a simple statement of fact. Or maybe you've used this one. "I've always been like this." We say it to explain away our habits, our little quirks, our fears. It's basically a way of saying, yep, case closed, nothing more to see here. And oh, this one. This one's the real door slammer. "I'm not the kind of person who can do that." Every single time we say this, we're drawing a line in the sand. We're deciding what's possible for our entire future, based only on what's happened in our past. But what if that whole way of thinking is just off? Because here's the thing. These sentences, as innocent as they sound, are anything but. They are mental cages. Every time you say, "This is just who I am," you're grabbing the bars. You're reinforcing them, locking yourself into one single tiny version of you. But the truth is, you are so much bigger than that. So where did we even get this idea of a fixed identity? To really get the new way of thinking, we've got to take apart the old one first. So let's kick things off with the myth of the single fixed self. You know, the idea that you have one single unchanging identity is an ancient belief. And look, it made sense in a world where life was way more predictable. You lived in one town, you probably had one job for life, you knew the same handful of people. In that kind of static world, a static identity, it worked. But that is not the world we live in anymore, not even close. Which brings us to a much more powerful and, frankly, a much more accurate way of seeing yourself. So instead of thinking of yourself as a single point, I want you to start thinking of your identity as a whole spectrum of possibilities. So this right here is the absolute key. You are not one single identity. You are a spectrum of possible identities. Just think about it for a second. The confident you, the disciplined you, the creative you, the adventurous you. They all exist inside you right now as probabilities. They're not just daydreams, they're real possibilities just waiting to be turned up. And this comparison just makes it so clear why that old model is completely outdated. It was built for a world of permanence. But our world, it's all about constant change. You can learn a brand new skill in a few weeks, you can totally change your career, you can build a new community online with people from all over the globe. Your potential is fluid, so your idea of self has to be just as flexible. I love this because it perfectly sums up the new mindset. Your identity is not a conclusion, it is a direction. You are not a finished product. You are a person in motion, constantly becoming. So the question isn't, who am I? The real question is, who am I choosing to move towards? Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a nice, feel-good idea, but is there anything real behind it? Well, yes. This is grounded in actual science. So let's dive into the psychology behind these possible selves. For decades, psychologists have known that we all carry around these possible selves. And they are concrete mental templates that your brain keeps on file ready to go. These aren't just vague wishes. They're like actual blueprints for who you could become, and they're built from the data of your own life. So where do these blueprints come from? Well, your brain is kind of like a chef, creating all these different recipes for you based on the ingredients you give it. Every experience you have, every skill you learn, the beliefs you hold, the things you want, they're all ingredients. And this is amazing because it means you have direct control. By changing the inputs, you can create totally new possible selves. Okay, this is my absolute favorite way to think about it. It's a shift from classical thinking to something more quantum-inspired. The old view says you are either confident or insecure. One cancels the other out. But the new view? It says you are confident and insecure. You are motivated and lazy. Both states already exist inside you, just as different probabilities. And that leads to this incredibly freeing idea. You are not broken. You're not inconsistent when you feel confident one day and insecure the next. You are simply untuned. You're just shifting between different frequencies that already exist within you. And anything that's untuned can be retuned. Okay. So if we can retune ourselves, how do we actually do it? This is where it gets really practical. Let's talk about the how. How do you consciously choose your identity? So this brings us right to the core principle.
Identity isn't something you find, it's something you build. The version of you that shows up the most often is simply the one you practice being the most. So, how do we practice?
Well, here it is, a simple, practical 3-step process. First, you identify the version of you that you want to grow. Let's say it's confident you. Step 2, you measure its current probability. No judgment here, just an honest look. Maybe confident you is showing up about 15% of the time. Then, step 3, and this is the magic part, you strengthen it. You just do one small thing every single day to increase its probability by just 1%. And that measurement step might look something like this. Again, it's not about being perfect, it's just about getting a baseline. Okay, my organized you is pretty strong at 40%, but my disciplined you is kind of hanging out down at 10%. This isn't a grade, it's a starting point. It's just data that you can work with. So why is this one little mental shift so incredibly important? Let's talk about why this is such a game changer, because it really does change everything. The moment you truly adopted this mindset, that you are a field of possibilities, the results are just profound. You stop taking failure so personally because it's not some final verdict on who you are. You stop feeling stuck. You stop judging yourself so harshly for being inconsistent. You start acting with way more courage because you know you're just strengthening a different possibility. You start shaping your identity on purpose instead of just passively inheriting it from your past. This is the shift that turns change from something that feels scary into something that's actually exciting. It makes your own growth a deliberate process, not some big mystery. The power is truly 100% in your hands. So the only question left is the one right here. Which version of you will you choose to strengthen today?